After Mary Jane rescued Peter and killed Wayep, Paul sent the dead god's corpse through the portal to keep it from detonating in their presence. Now clear of the danger, Mary Jane asks Paul what their next move will be. Elsewhere, Benjamin Rabin senses Wayep's death as his god essence haunts the dark road, so Rabin draws a symbol while proclaiming Mary Jane accept her chains so that her death may make him a god. After one day, while Paul tries to convince Mary Jane that they need to flee, she is adamant about waiting for Peter and backhands Paul for his grabbing her to leave. Seeing her tearfully holding onto the last shred of Peter's costume that remained, Paul sympathizes with Mary Jane and instead moves to grab a mortar glyph to patch the hole in the bunker left by Wayep. 1 month later, Mary Jane returns to the bunker after having driven away the glyphoid beasts outside. Paul shares that he is working on a device to utilize randomized symbol combinations, hoping some fusion of symbols could grant incredible power. Mary Jane comments about hitting the jackpot, as the presentation looks like a slot machine and one of the symbols looks like a 7. Being reminded of Peter, Mary Jane leaves the room melancholic. 3 months later, Paul and Mary Jane successfully drive off a vengeful Rabin after taking minor injuries, so they pack their things and relocate now that their bunker is compromised. 1 week later, fleeing the desolate city and avoiding monsters, Mary Jane asks what could be taking Peter so long. Another 3 months later, Paul and Mary Jane scavenge for food and stumble upon 2 children in a shack, Owen and Romy. 1 week later, after Mary Jane calms Owen from a nightmare, Paul brings up needing to be realistic about their journey, to which Mary Jane snaps back about not wanting to abandon the kids. A befuddled Paul clarifies he didn't mean that, nor would he ever suggest such recourse, to which the upset Mary Jane calms down and acknowledges he wouldn't. 1 month later, Mary Jane bonds with Owen when he finally lets someone hold him, seeing her as a protector for driving away the Scribble Man. Another 3 months later, Paul refines his device development by incorporating luck and chance symbols based on Mary Jane's jackpot comment. Many months and seasons after, Paul and Mary Jane raised the 2 children while protecting them from glyphoids and refining their new bunker's security system. On their last day, Rabin found and attacked them during dinner, seeking to sacrifice Mary Jane for his ritual as he tells her that the sun blood comes for her, but it is too late. As Paul puts the kids in the safe room, Rabin tells Mary Jane that he doesn't need Peter now that Wayep is dead and that she is his final sacrifice. As Paul is injured defending Mary Jane, she reaches for the jackpot device and makes her first pull after a fizzled warm-up: ice cream, money bag, candy cone. Sadly, her power is projectile cotton candy, as Paul tells her it is based on chance trade-offs. But before he can warn her about pulling 3 skulls, Peter returned. Mary Jane finishes recounting her story to Peter, that his arrival gave Rabin pause long enough for Paul to kill him and end their nightmare. Mary Jane states she couldn't explain how good it was to see Peter, but was crestfallen realizing how much he had missed. After Peter brought the 5 of them to Earth 616, Paul was hospitalized as Mary Jane finished telling him about her ordeal, that he was gone for 4 years while she made a family with Paul, Owen, and Romy. For Peter, he brings up how he never stopped trying to reach her, recalling how she invited him to move in barely a month ago by his perspective, before Rabin's arrival. But after the whole ordeal, Mary Jane sadly tells Peter she cannot leave Paul. As Peter leaves the hospital, a doctor tells Mary Jane that Paul's liver was damaged, but he will recover. Outside, Peter is met by the Fantastic Four demanding the mini fusion reactor he took, but he explains it was fried, saving Mary Jane. A blazing Johnny scolds Peter for his actions, who punches Johnny for mentioning Mary Jane, and Ben gets involved before Reed and Susan step in seeking only to help Peter. Peter voices how he's furious and needs someone to fight, but Captain America steps in to stop the fighting, having just spoken to Mary Jane and now knowing Peter's motives, but reprimands him that they could have helped. Peter counters that it wouldn't have been fast enough as he wasn't fast enough, but Cap still understands and has the FF leave, hoping Peter will see his way out of the bind he's in. 2. Meanwhile, Rabin revives and realizes in death that he was the symbol of failure to Wayep. To correct his ascension, he must finish the ceremony and kill Mary Jane,